Discovering the miraculous journey of Esau's wife, a shocking tale of divine redemption and faith. In the days of old, in the land of Canaan, beneath the vast expanse of desert skies, there lived a woman named Adah. She was a Canaanite, the wife of Esau, the son of Isaac, who bore the weight of her heritage amid the grandeur of covenant promises. The tents of Isaac, filled with the sounds of familial dynamics, bore witness to the frictions born from the complexities of blended cultures and sacred obligations. Adah, unmoored from the pagan rituals of her origins, stirred with longing as the desert winds carried whispers of a God she yearned to understand. She observed the tension rise within the household following the treachery where Jacob, Esau's brother, cunningly stole away the blessing meant for Esau. Her heart ached for her husband's distress and for the brokenness that threatened to bleed into their compounded family. Could there truly be a God, one who had made a covenant with Abraham, the father of both her family and the very line that now enfolded her heart? She pondered, her prayers trembling upon her lips. Then, in the dry shadows of days transformed into weeks within the throes of famine, an ache turned into fervent intercession. "O, Yahweh, God of Isaac, hear my cry." Adah prayed, her spirit igniting with a flicker of newfound faith as desperation entwined with hope. The winds of providence stirred, and to her astonishment, one evening, amidst the silence of her tent, a profound vision unfolded before her, a tapestry of the divine plan for her family and Esau's lineage intricately woven into the destiny of Israel. Suddenly, a caravan emerged from the horizon, laden with goods that flowed like a heavenly blessing into their hands, quelling their fear and filling their granaries, a tangible response to her supplications. "Indeed, there is a God who hears," her heart sang. This miracle sparked faith that had long lain dormant, igniting a resolve to embrace her place within these sacred narratives, a bridge between her ancestry and the unfolding story of Yahweh's chosen ones. Yet, the sacred air crackled with tension, for Jacob was returning. Adah was torn, caught between steadfast loyalty to Esau and the stirring knowledge of the promises of the Almighty God she sought to know. As she stood in the twilight gloom, the heavens felt perilous. Voices of the past seemed to echo around her, calling her to action, pressing upon her heart the urgency to seek reconciliation. Confronted by the shadows of her growing faith and the looming specter of familial strife, Adah gathered herself. In this moment of crisis, she turned to the scriptures, reclaiming her voice, a desperate plea to the God who had revealed himself in her vision. "May your will prevail, O Lord," she murmured, reminded of the hope God imparts even in darkness. As she awaited the two brothers' impending encounter, the tension in the air was palpable, like the silence before a mighty storm. Adah, heart racing with both fear and expectancy, prepared for the reckoning. She felt the significance of her role woven into the fabric of their divinely orchestrated reunion. With every heartbeat echoing her plea for peace, she recognized that the God who invited her into his story might just weave redemption from discord. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. The day of reckoning approached, draped in an uncertainty that hung in the desert air. Adah felt the weight of her ancestry that threatened to crush her. Newfound faith. Would Yahweh protect her husband? The stakes could not be higher. As she prepared to stand at the threshold between these two men, she held her breath, faith swelling in her chest while fear threatened to unravel her purpose. In that moment of anticipation, she awaited the divine miracle that could rise from the ashes of conflict, a reconciliation that might redefine the legacy of her family forever. And it came to pass, on the morrow, that Esau lifted his eyes, and behold, Jacob approached with his two wives and the children of his lineage trailing in the dust of the road. Adah stood at the entrance of their tent, her heart pounding with each stride the two brothers took towards one another. She prayed silently, pleading with God to soften the hearts of men who had known strife. As Jacob drew near, he divided his family, placing the maidservants and their children in the front, and Rachel and Joseph at the rear. Perhaps, he thought, Esau's anger may be averted by the gifts that I send before me. Jacob's hands trembled, for he resolved to bow to the ground 7 times until he reached his brother, recognizing the gravity of their history. Meanwhile, Adah watched through the gauzy fabric of her tent, praying for peace as she could see a mixture of dread and anticipation play across Jacob's furrowed brow. Her heart desperately ached for both of them, a bond of fealty tugging at her spirit. How could she stand still, torn between 2 men linked by blood yet defined by betrayal? Yet as Jacob fell upon his knees in humility, Esau rushed forward, and what transpired was a moment divine, a face-to-face encounter not of wrath, but of grace. "Jacob!" cried Esau, his voice thunderous yet softened by years of longing. He speedily embraced Jacob, and both men wept, their tears mingling on the sands of an ancient promise. Adah stepped forward, the breath caught in her throat, watching the reconciliation unfold. Each side of the family bore witness, those once caught in the treachery of birthright and blessing now gathered in the landscape of forgiveness. "To see thee again is like seeing the face of God," Jacob said, awash in wonder, yearning. Esau, his heart softened by the grief of years spent apart, gazed at Jacob's family. He turned, glancing at Adah with a kindling recognition that spoke of unity within their lineage. "Who are these with thee?" he asked, sweeping his gaze over the children, their laughter rising up to the heavens. Jacob introduced them, declaring, "These are the children whom God has graciously given me." An awe-filled silence enveloped them, for in this moment, Adah realized the consummation of her prayers, a divine act of reunion. She felt God's presence, a confirming weight on her shoulders, as if the heavens whispered his design over their midst. As they embraced, the gifts of livestock that Jacob had brought from the valley stood as tokens of goodwill. "I have enough, brother," Esau replied, a warmth in his words, "for in meeting thee, my heart overflows." In this reconnection, a new legacy was birthed between the 4 families caught in the sunrise's zealous embrace. The tension that had haunted their days shuddered into remembrance now faded into the light of hope. Adah realized how God's grace had enveloped her heart, becoming a means of healing, colliding histories into a tapestry of brotherhood. Yet unbeknownst to them, deep within the shadowed valleys of fate loomed a greater narrative, for the hands of God were moving in ways unseen. Just as Adah began to discern the full purpose of these reconciliations, she sensed a stirring in her spirit, a premonition that God's sovereign plan was still unfolding, beyond what her eyes could see. In whispered prayers, she understood that the covenant promise resonated like a drum, echoing across generations yet to come. What more will God weave from these ashes, and what future remains hidden in his heart? She pondered, feeling the weight of divine expectation, as the story of their family was only just beginning. And it came to pass that as the sun began to set, painting the horizon in hues of gold and crimson, Jacob and Esau sat together under the vast sky, the weight of their past gradually lifting among the laughter of children. They broke bread together, sharing food and drink, each morsel a testimony of the reconciliation that had taken place. Adah, serving the men, felt her heart swell with joy, but deep down, she sensed an echo of God's voice beckoning her towards deeper understanding. As the shadows lengthened around them, she looked toward the distant mountains, her spirit restless, seeking clarity. The journey of her people was intertwined with the greater story of God's covenant, and each layer unfolded like petals of a divine rose. "Esau," Jacob began, his voice earnest as he gazed toward his brother, "you have shown me mercy beyond measure. Surely, we are called to share this new beginning." Esau nodded, his spirit unburdened, and said, "Let us dwell as brothers, for I have laid aside my heart's bitterness, and I see the blessing of the Lord in all that has transpired." Suddenly, a murmur arose from Rachel, her eyes wide with concern. "But what of the sons of Ishmael? I have heard whispers that they seek to claim the birthright for themselves, seeking to divide our family again." Jacob felt a stir of apprehension. They had faced enough strife, yet, he recalled the promise God had declared to him at Bethel, and he fortified himself in faith. At that moment, Adah felt a stirring in her spirit, a call to action. She turned to Jacob and said, the strength of our family lies not only in forgiveness, but in unity against the shadows that loom. We must guard the legacy handed down to us." Jacob looked deeply into her eyes, feeling the weight of her intention and the resolve born out of wisdom. Esau, hearing her words, felt a sense of kinship, the wellspring of their shared lineage renewed by Adah's insight. "Then let us establish a pact, a covenant beyond blood," he declared, his voice steady. "We shall stand as one against any force seeking to disrupt the peace that God has granted." The men clasped hands, sealing their purpose with an oath bound in faith. As night enveloped the land, Adah paused, her heart racing with realization. A deeper mystery pulsed beyond the physical threats of their time. God's plan was unrolling in layers, rich and profound. She remembered the words of Isaac, "The elder shall serve the younger," Genesis 25 verse 23, and she sensed a divine orchestration at work in the lineage of Abraham. Keeping her eyes fixed on the shadows dancing with the flickering flames, Adah spoke, her voice rising in quiet resolve. "What if the covenant we embrace now is but a fragment of the promise yet to unfold? One day, a multitude shall emerge, destined to carry forth the blessings from these grounds." The men fell silent, contemplating the vision bestowed upon her. Esau felt the weight of history converge upon them, his heart thrilling with the prospect of a future undivided, ripe for divine manifestation. In the stillness, a star shone brightly above, its brilliance piercing the darkened sky. Adah whispered a prayer, thanking God for the moments of reconciliation, yet sensing that an impending journey lay ahead. What trials will shape our legacy, and what figures shall arise from the shadows of strife? She pondered, feeling the divine intentions wrap around her spirit like a warm embrace. Indeed, the evening hummed with anticipation, a foundational moment in the tapestry of their lives. As they settled beneath the stars, the echo of God's promise reverberated through their hearts, leading them toward a mystery that bore yet another proclamation: "The time is close for heroes to be born from the seams of your covenant." And it came to pass that in the hush of the encroaching night, as the fire flickered and painted warm shadows upon their faces, a stirring began within the hearts of all present. Esau spoke, his voice carrying a weight of new vigor. "Brothers, my spirit is emboldened this night, yet I feel there lies ahead a path that calls to me. Might we journey together to the land of my inheritance? I yearn to reclaim my heritage and the promise that was bestowed upon our father." Jacob, hearing Esau's desires, nodded in agreement, sensing the divine orchestration beginning to unfold. "Then let it be so, dear brother. But know that we must unite our families, for the journey is fraught with uncertainty, and our strength lies not only in our blood but in our bonds." Adah, moved by this declaration, turned her gaze upward toward the vast expanse of heavens, feeling the pulsation of divine presence. "Each step we take towards your homeland, Esau, must be shrouded in prayer and reflection. For though we desire peace, the shadows that whisper from afar are not easily silenced." As they prepared for the morrow's journey, the men gathered their families, and Esau called for his wife, Judith, to join them. She approached, her countenance gentle but marked by a depth of insight. The silver in her eyes mirrored the stars as she awaited the words of her husband. Esau took her hands, his grip firm and reassuring. "Judith, we embark on this journey not merely for our heritage but to fulfill the great promise of our fathers. Will you join me?" Judith nodded, a quiet strength emerging from within her. "I shall follow you, my heart is bound to your calling, and together we shall seek the face of our God." Thus, with the dawn breaking, renewing the heavens, Jacob, Esau, and their families set forth, the promise of God paving their steps. The hills loomed large before them, substantive and silent as though holding secrets of a past unseen. It was then that Adah felt again that beckoning whisper, the Spirit of the Lord stirring her heart. "Behold," she proclaimed softly, "it is not merely the land that awaits, but a greater revelation of God's plan for our lineage. Let us remain watchful, for I sense that trials yet unseen will shape our days to come." They walked through the valleys, and the scattered rocks spoke of ancient paths taken by their forefathers. As they journeyed, Esau encouraged his children to recount the stories of their family history, embedding the past into their hearts. "Remember, Dear ones, the covenant that was made with Abraham, remember how the Lord has been with us. In the midst of this journey, night fell upon them again, and they gathered around the fire to share stories. As they recounted tales of faith, Judith, feeling inspired, spoke, "What if our journey brings forth a future beyond what we behold? What if the struggles we face lead to blessings that our descendants will cherish?" Her words hung in the air like incense rising to heaven, and in that moment, Jacob caught a glimpse of a promise yet unfurling. He thought of the prophecy spoken of days long past, the promise that nations would come from him, that kings would descend from his loins, and he felt a surge of divine assurance. Little did they know that beyond the mountains loomed trials that would forge their bond and faith, shaping their legacy further into the heart of God's purpose. Thus it was, unknown to them, a story of redemption was crafting itself from the shadows, a divine symphony composed by the Creator, revealing that within the trials lay the keys to the promised blessings. The night sky enabled dreams of heroes yet to be born, for God's sovereign plan always weaves the unexpected into the fabric of life. And upon the horizon, the glow of dawn would soon reveal more than they could ever imagine, for indeed, the time had come for the hidden to be unveiled, and the shepherds of faith called forth to stand firm in the face of divine destiny. And it came to pass, as day broke anew over the rugged terrain, the air shimmered with promise, and the families whispered prayers of guidance and strength. With purpose igniting their steps, they marched forward, united in spirit and determination. As they traversed the slopes of the land that awaited their return, there came a moment when the peace of the morning was interrupted by a sound, a rustle in the underbrush, which paused every heart. Esau, keen of ear and alert of heart, drew nearer to the sound. "What is this?" he questioned, brow furrowing with concern. Judith, her gaze unwavering, stepped forward to stand beside him. "Perhaps it is merely the wind playing tricks with our senses, or perhaps it is a sign that the Lord wishes to speak with us." Their brethren clustered around, eyes wide with expectation, for in those days, such disturbances often heralded divine messengers. Suddenly, from the foliage emerged a young deer, delicate and trembling, as if it had wandered too far from its mother. The creature stood before them, unafraid, and captivated by their presence. Jacob, reflecting on the prophetic nature of their journey, proclaimed, "Behold the beauty of creation. The Lord has delivered this offering for us to see. Just as this deer is watched over, so are we under the gaze of our Almighty." They marveled, the children laughing, and soon the somber weight upon their hearts began to lift. But in Judith's spirit, a flicker of anticipation ignited like a flame. "Do you feel it, dear ones? The shift in the air speaks to us of something more." As the sun ascended higher, they pressed on, and as they came to the banks of a flowing river, Adah spoke again, sensing a deeper stirring. "Behold, the waters before us remind us of life and rebirth. Are we, too, not passing into something that has been long awaited?" Jacob dipped his fingers into the cool water, lifting it high to the light. "May our journey, like this river, carve new paths, smoothing the way ahead." And as his hand splashed, it was as if the heavens sighed with delight, affirming their resolve. As the day unfolded, the weariness of their travels began to settle in, and they nearly missed the evening when a shadow crossed the path before them. Emerging from the dusk was a figure cloaked in robes, whose countenance radiated authority and grace. "Fear not," the voice resonated with strength, echoing the very promises spoken to their forefathers. Jacob, upon recognizing the messenger as one sent by the Lord, bowed low. "What word do you carry for us, O servant of the Most High?" The figure raised his hand, and the air thickened with purpose. "You are on a journey to reclaim the promises made to Abraham and Isaac, and through this voyage, hidden futures will emerge. Thus saith the Lord, the trials you will face will mold you, and the rightful blessings you long for will be revealed." Esau felt a chill run down his spine, a mixture of trepidation and assurance. Judith, emboldened by the truth resting upon her, stepped forth. "And what of these trials? Are we to face darkness alone?" "Nay," declared the messenger. "For your struggles shall prepare a way for the unexpected. It is within the very trials you dread that the miracle of your lineage shall unfold, allowing the grace of God to shine through. As abruptly as he had arrived, the messenger vanished into the twilight, and the families stood in sacred silence, caught between the weight of prophecy and the flickering embers of hope. Judith turned to Esau, her heart aflame with divine purpose. Our journey is not merely a return, Esau, but a pilgrimage of faith. Each step is laden with the promise of extraordinary redemption. And thus, with renewed vigor igniting their spirits, they prepared for the night, unaware that shadows lurked ahead, waiting to test the bonds of their faith. For in the heart of this divine narrative, the Lord was weaving an intricate tapestry, one that would unveil a legacy far richer than mere inheritance, a testament to the unfathomable depths of God's glory and grace. What lay ahead would challenge them, yet therein rested the keys to their future, a revelation yet waiting to spring forth from the fabric of their journey. And it came to pass, as the night cloaked the land, the families gathered around their flickering fires, the dancing flames casting shadows that flickered like their uncertainties. The air was thick with the scent of earth and the distant whisper of winds weaving through the trees, echoing the promise of their endeavor. Judith, pressed by her spirit's urgency, spoke again. Let us not be deterred by fear, for even in darkness, His light shall guide us. We must share our hearts and our hopes, that we may be strengthened together. Esau nodded, yet a shadow lingered upon his brow. Indeed, my sister, yet what awaits us in the days soon to come? Will we be prepared for what the Lord has ordained? Jacob, the patriarch of their clan, broke the tension with words of wisdom that flowed like a river of assurance. Fear not, for the Lord has walked before us, as a pillar of fire in the night. Let us remember the words of the messenger and steel our hearts for the trials which shall come, for these will birth in us a greatness yet revealed. As they shared their stories, fears transformed into resolve, the flickering fire illuminating their faces like a celestial display. Each spoke of their hopes for the future, of promises that had hung heavy over their lineage. They listened intently as Judith shared her yearning for a life that flourished in covenant faithfulness, where seeds of blessing would take root in the lives of their children. In the midst of this communion, a sudden rustle emerged from the night unlike that of the gentle deer from before. This sound had a harsher edge to it. Esau arose, his senses sharp and his heart pounding like a drum of war. What intrudes upon this holy gathering? He voiced, his stature tall and commanding. Behold! Shouted Judith, pointing toward the shadows. A band approaches, cloaked in dark intentions. Let us maintain our courage. The darkness unfolded before them, revealing a band of men with eyes gleaming with malice. Esau advanced, filled with a protective vigor, drawing his sword from its sheath. Stand firm, for we are not without strength. Our God is with us. Yet, a voice rang out, calm and unsettling. Why do you stand against the children of Isaac? We seek only that which belongs to us. The leader of the men stepped closer, revealing a hardened countenance etched by battles lost and won. Jacob, raising his voice above the tension, approached the leader. What do you claim is ours that you would seek us in the night? Esau's birthright. The man spat, his voice laced with disdain. But you shall not see the light of day before you yield it willingly. Or face the fate of those who resist our claim. Beneath the laden threat, an uneasy communion arose within the hearts of the families. Judith met Esau's eyes with fervency. Remember the blessing spoken over us, brother. The Lord does not waver in His promises. Your birthright is more than a ledger, it is the covenant and legacy forged in divine fire. Esau's hand gripped his sword tighter, emboldened by her words. You speak truth, dear sister. From our forefather Abraham to our father Isaac, we are bound to this covenant. I shall not yield. Thus the air pulsed with a tension palpable, the very stars above seemed to lean closer, as if waiting upon the response of the Almighty. And then, as silence blanketed their confrontation, a soft breeze swept through, carrying the faint sound of a distant thunder, as if heaven itself bore witness. In that moment of standoff, the families clung to their faith, each heart echoing the promise of redemption and strength. What trials did begin that night would etch themselves into the fabric of their journey, pulling from the depths of God's desires a truth that had yet to unfold. With every heartbeat resonating with divine purpose, the dawn of revelation loomed nearer. For the challenges they faced were but the beginning of an extraordinary tale yet to be written, a tale of divine redemption and profound faith, one that would ultimately unfold the hidden workings of God's sovereign hand in their lives. As the shadows danced ominously around them, the air thickened with tension, and the echo of Esau's declaration hung heavily. It was a night of reckoning, a night where destinies would interlace and hopes would collide. With a swift motion, Esau extended his sword toward the men, the metal gleaming under the moonlight like a beacon of defiance. "Stir not our wrath," he bellowed, the firelight reflecting the determination set in his eyes. "For we are the offspring of the covenant, the Almighty has seen us, and we shall not be moved." The leader of the dark band stepped forward, his confidence oozing from every pore. "You mistake your courage for strength, young man. It is the birthright that holds true power, and we have claimed it in the name of the one who has sought it since the moment he was set upon this earth." Jacob turned to his family, eyes searching for assurance, for the strength to navigate this oncoming storm. "What is a birthright without the blessings of the Father? It is nothing. For every promise spoken over us cannot be stolen nor bartered away. Speak not of promises." The leader raged, his voice rising above the crackle of fire and the murmurs of the night. "Your words shall not save you. If you deny me the birthright, the wrath of my kin will fall upon you." Just then, the heavens trembled with the distant memory of thunder, and a lone star blinked brightly against the velvety expanse of night, drawing the eyes of every soul present. Judith, her heart like a wild flame, stepped forth, emboldened by a spirit she knew could not be contained. "Know this," she proclaimed, her voice clear as the break of dawn, "the Lord is mightier than earthly claims. You speak of curses and burdens, yet we are heirs to a blessing. Our path is set not by your sword but by the hand of God." The words swirled like incense in the air, settling upon them like a mantle of divine protection, and for a moment, the tension dissolved. The men, momentarily taken aback by her fervor, exchanged wary glances as doubt flickered within their hardened hearts. But the leader swiftly gathered his resolve, speaking with a venom that dripped from his tongue. "Then know this, if the birthright is not yielded, the blood of your loved ones will feed the earth before the sun rises." Esau's hands tightened around his sword, and Jacob stood strong beside him, rallying his family. The loyalty and strength within their kinship pulsed as electricity through the air, binding them with an unbreakable thread. Judith clasped her hands in prayer, her eyes turned toward the heavens, voicing a silent plea for their deliverance. At that moment, a sudden chill rushed through the clearing, stirring the leaves as though the breath of the Almighty himself was upon them. Jacob sensed the shift and raised his voice, "Let us pray together, for the battle is not ours but the Lord's." With hands clasped, the families united in fervor, beseeching the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The air crackled with divine expectancy, as if the very heavens were preparing to unfold an answer to their cries. Suddenly, a blinding flash illuminated the darkness, and the ground shook as though announcing another presence. The men staggered, unsure and unsteady, while faith surged like a roaring river within the hearts of Jacob's clan. Then, as if answering their demand, a voice like rolling thunder boomed from the void, reverberating in the marrow of their bones. "What is born of flesh cannot penetrate the power of the Spirit. Stand firm, for my plans extend beyond this night." The leader of the men fell to his knees, terror etched upon his face, while Jacob's family stood fortified, their spirits now aflame with promise. In this moment, an invisible weight was lifted, yet possibilities loomed before them that neither wicked hearts nor human strength could fathom. In the breath of divine silence that followed, the reality of their fight ripened into a challenge of faith unlike any other. For as the dawn would break, it would herald not only the unfolding of trials but the faithful fulfillment of God's sovereign plan, culminating in an unimaginable future yet to be revealed. What lay ahead would not only test their spirit but unveil the magnificent tapestry of God's intricate design, one woven with love, sacrifice, and the threads of destiny intertwining far beyond their own understanding. As dawn broke with a soft glow, the shadows of the night slowly receded, retreating from the light of day. A hush fell over the clearing, carrying with it the quiet anticipation of an unfolding journey. Jacob, his heart steady with courage, gazed upon the horizon, the promise of a new day igniting hope deep within his spirit. But before the first rays of sun could fully illuminate the land, a commotion arose among the men who had stood defiant through the night. The leader, still trembling from the encounter with the divine voice, pushed himself up from the ground, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. "What manner of power is this?" he gasped, casting glances at his companions who also bore the marks of shaken resolve. Esau, holding his sword loosely now, stepped toward the leader, emboldened by the assurance he had felt. "Understand this," he declared, "the God of our fathers will not abandon his own. If you seek wrath, know that the Almighty is a wall of fire about us, and we shall not be afraid." Judith, still aglow with the fervor of her earlier proclamation, raised her voice above the murmurs. "The Lord has not only called us out of darkness but has set a new path for the future. Every wound that has been inflicted upon us is a brick leading to a new foundation built upon faith." With those words, a sense of solidarity enveloped Jacob's family, each member reinforcing their ties of kinship as they felt a divine calling resonate within their souls. The morning air shimmered with possibility, igniting a bravery that had long lingered in the shadows of their hearts. Yet their adversary was rebuffed, anger bubbling up like a tempest. "You will rue the day you defied me. We shall return with a force that will turn blessing to cursing, and the air will thicken with your despair." Suddenly, a distant cry echoed through the hills, a voice steeped in sorrow, reaching towards the heavens. Jacob's ears perked, recognizing the sound, a plea unmistakably woven with anguish. "Rachel?" he whispered, as dread seized his heart. "It is she!" Esau cried, his face paling. "We must go to her. Now." Without hesitation, Jacob's family turned to the source of the sound. The urgency flowed through them like a river breaking through a dam, relentless and swift. They weaved through trees and brush, the whispers of the wind carrying their prayers upward, pleading for Rachel's protection. As they approached a nearby encampment, they found Rachel on her knees, hands raised to the sky, a cluster of sorrowful companions surrounding her. "My child," she wept, turmoil etched across her features, "he is lost to us." With a surge of raw emotion, Jacob moved closer to his beloved, his voice steady despite the flutter of dread in his heart. "Fear not, for the Lord knows our needs. Though darkness surrounds us, he shall yet bring forth light." The gathering echoed in reverent agreement, a swell of prayer rising, urging divine intercession. Suddenly, the very air trembled as a wind strong and purposeful, like the whisper of God rushed through them, rushing over invocation and uttering the promises of the Almighty. "Even now, I am at work in your midst," came a voice, resonating beneath the hushed prayers. "Watch, for I am revealing hidden blessings, even in your distress." The leader of the dark band, emboldened by desperation, stepped back, his bravado threatening to fray. "What do you speak of, spirit?" he stammered, casting fearful glances around him as if the very elements had conspired against him. And in that charged moment, it was as if the air shimmered with expectation, the ground crackled beneath their feet, and the very heavens bore witness. The dawn was no longer a mere transition from night to day, it was a moment pregnant with promise, a promise that would ripple through generations. As the sun's first beams kissed the earth, Rachel looked up, her face transformed with sudden clarity. "This is not our end, but the beginning. A gift wrapped in sorrow, and a destiny that unfolds, a name that will be cherished through all time." What did this mean for Jacob, Esau, and their kin? What blessings of redemption could emerge from the turmoil surrounding them? The unfolding of his sovereign plan was still shrouded in divine mystery, beckoning them into the depths of God's eternal purpose, waiting to be revealed. As the sun fully ascended upon the day, its radiance mingled with the teardrops of Rachel, illuminating her figure amid the gathering. Jacob, emboldened by her proclamation, felt the stirrings of hope infuse their weary hearts. "Let us beseech the Lord together," he urged, extending a hand toward Rachel, beckoning her closer. Rachel, still trembling with emotion, nodded solemnly, taking his hand in hers and rising to her feet. "We must not falter, beloved," she affirmed. "Together, we shall call upon the name above all names." With hearts aligned in shared faith, the family gathered in a circle, their hands intertwined, forming a living testament of unity. Jacob lifted his voice, piercing the silence with fervent prayers, invoking the God who had walked with their ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. "Great and mighty God, who hears the cries of the humble, we stand before you now in our distress. You know our hearts and the loss that weighs heavy upon this day. May your hand guide us in our seeking, and let your mercy abound." As Jacob's words echoed through the air, a shimmering light enveloped his family, a divine presence that gripped their beings with holy assurance. They fell silent, knowing the Lord was among them. In that moment, Rachel felt something shift within her spirit, a reassurance that transcended the chaos. She turned toward her kin, her face radiant as she began to speak. "I have received a vision." Her voice rose above the gathering, each word steeped in a profound authority. "The Lord has shown me that our path is not one of perpetual mourning, but of great promise. He is preparing a way where there seems no way." Esau glanced at Jacob, his expression reflecting both awe and anticipation. "What do you see, sister?" he inquired, drawn in by the fervor in Rachel's voice. "I see a veil lifted," she continued, her words flowing like a river of hope amidst despair. "From our trials, a son will rise, a child of blessing. He shall lead us into a new land, a promise fulfilled in generations to come." The gathered family gasped, a mix of disbelief and hope coloring their expressions. Could it be true? In the depths of sorrow lay the seeds of an extraordinary future. "Rachel," Jacob whispered, his eyes glimmering with reverence. "If the Lord speaks, we must heed his call." As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a golden hue upon their converged souls, the leader of the dark band, despite his earlier bravado, felt dread creep into his heart. He rallied his men, casting sharp glances toward the hopeful assembly. "Gather your strength," he roared, desperation clawing at his words. "They gather under delusions, they are weak. We shall charge now, before the dawn of their hope births a rebellion." Yet, amid his bluster, doubt seeped into his heart as he watched the unity of Jacob's family, their spirits still bound by hope's thread. "Brothers, sisters," Jacob called, lifting his voice above the rising tension, "while trials await, our faith shall fortify us. Let us not waver in the face of darkness, our God is with us, and his promise is a shield upon our hearts." Their cries rose in unison as the ground beneath them reverberated. Even the very air appeared to be alive with God's promises, stirring their faith into a fierce flame. Then Rachel, feeling the urgency of the moment, turned to the assembly, her eyes blazing with divine fire. "We shall not bend. We shall rise. For each attack against us is but an opportunity for the Lord to manifest his greatness." And as her voice echoed, a sudden stillness fell upon the encampment, both Jacob's family and the dark band feeling the weight of divine presence enveloping them. They stood on the verge of a promise woven through the very fabric of their lives, and the air thickened with the anticipation of what would come. Yet, in the distance, a shadow moved among the hills, a portent of turmoil encroaching upon their newfound hope. What revelation awaited Jacob and his kin, and what did the Lord have in store? The tapestry of destiny was being woven, yet the threads remained concealed, beckoning them further into the depths of trust and obedience, where the true meaning of redemption awaited to be unfurled. In the fullness of time, under the watchful gaze of heaven, a profound stillness descended upon the land. The dawn broke softly upon the weary faces of Jacob's family, their hope rekindled and their spirits fortified. As the sun cast bright rays upon the rugged terrain, Rachel stood among them, her heart buoyed by the weight of shared prayers and the promise of God's vision. "Brothers, sisters," she began, her voice resonating with authority, "the Lord has declared our path, and we shall not cower before the challenges that loom. With each test, he shall reveal his glory." As the family gathered close, Jacob's soul shone bright with the assurance of God's favor. His voice, steady and resolute, rang out, "Let us prepare our hearts and minds, for the battle that lies before us is but the harbinger of glory. We are a covenant people, blessed to carry forth a legacy that shall echo through generations." Adah, feeling the warmth of divine unity embrace her, stepped forward. "It is in our obedience and faith that God's will unfolds. We must stand as one, wrapped in His grace, ready to face whatever may come." Fear hung like morning dew, yet the family's hearts beat as one, echoing the boldness of their faith, a determination forged through adversity. As they prepared to confront the dark band that threatened their peace, a palpable fervor filled the air. The leader of the hostile men, sensing the tide turning, drew forth his own band of miscreants, embittered to reclaim what they had lost. "Today, it will be you who will rue the day you defied us," he snarled, attempting to mask his uncertainty beneath a veil of bravado. Esau, resolute and emboldened, raised his sword high. "Your threats cannot shake the foundation of our covenant. We are not mere mortals but a people set apart by the hand of the Almighty." The tension crackled in the air like thunder, each moment pregnant with the weight of legacy. Rachel turned her gaze to Jacob, a fierce conviction burning within. "Did you not hear the voice of God? We shall rise, and thus proclaim His mighty works." With this, Jacob rallied his family, uniting them in a circle. "Let us not only stand firm but move forward in faith." The very ground beneath them trembled, a witness to their declaration as they stepped toward their adversaries, hearts emboldened by heaven's promise. And as they approached, a voice rang clear as a trumpet across the windswept plains, a voice that summoned forth the authority of the divine. "No weapon forged against you shall prosper," proclaimed Adah, her spirit alight with the power of God's assurance. In that grand moment, the heavens themselves seemed to bend toward the earth. The energies of the universe were set alight, illuminating not only the souls of Jacob's family but causing fear to course through the hearts of their foes. The tyrants faltered, eyes wide in disbelief. What power propelled these simple ranchers to defy the darkness with such valor? Then came a whisper, carried on the rising winds, resonating with strength and clarity, "I am with you, to deliver you." To the astonishment of all present, the sky erupted in brilliance, as a mighty storm gathered overhead, each crackle of lightning injecting fervor into the hearts of Jacob's family and dread into the enemy. The leader of the men faltered, a tremor of uncertainty revealing the depths of his failing courage, for he underestimated the faith that swelled within Jacob's kin. "What is this?" he gasped, backing away, his bravado shattered by the vision of divine sovereignty weaving itself into reality before his eyes. Esau stepped forward, fearless in the face of growing fear. "Stand down, and let us speak of peace, for even in your darkness, a chance for redemption remains." In that instant, a metamorphosis occurred. The leader, shaken and sensing the mantle of power shift, hesitated. "You would offer me peace?" he asked, doubt creasing his brow as the prospect of reconciliation flickered in his hard heart. "Yes," Esau replied, "for I have learned from our strife that unity is stronger than division. The covenant we hold transcends earthly claims of power." The dark band, once resolute in their ambitions, began to murmur among themselves, their fury fading as the possibility of a new course emerged. One by one, their weapons fell to the ground, setting the stage for a miracle. Rachel, her eyes radiant with the echo of divine revelation, stepped forth with boldness. "In humility and forgiveness lies our strength. No longer shall we dwell in the shadows of bitterness. Let us walk in the light of reconciliation." As the shadows retreated further, the families began to weave a tapestry of renewal amid the ruins of discord. Forgiveness was offered and embraced, hearts open to the possibilities of walking forward together. "That we might establish a future not dictated by our past," Jacob declared, the voice of destiny ringing in his heart. Thus, as family embellished by grace, they chose to stand united, turning their backs against the remnants of darkness that had sought to divide them. Bound together by faith, they ventured forth, recognizing their journey was not solely to reclaim what was theirs but was a pathway to a deeper understanding of their covenant, a testament to the unfolding story of God's faithfulness. In that moment, they rejoiced together, celebrating not just the defeat of their adversaries but the awakening of profound unity, a legacy of hope and redemption blooming agonizingly from the ashes of past strife. And so the sun dipped lower in the sky, the glow wrapping their gathering in a golden hue, reminding them that every beginning carries the echoes of the past, weaving them into the fabric of future generations. As they turned their gaze toward home, hearts lifted in praise and expectation together, they declared, "Yahweh, our God, shall lead us onward into the richness of your promise toward a hope fulfilled." And indeed, as their voices resonated through the canyons, creation itself stood still, bearing witness to the sacred resolve of a family, once fractured but now reborn through faith, a family woven into the very heart of the Almighty. As we draw the curtain on this chapter, I invite you now, dear friend, to join us in continuing this journey of faith and divine encounters. Don't miss the powerful biblical stories that await you. Subscribe immediately to the channel to stay connected to God's Word. Help us spread God's truth through this message by leaving a like right now and share your reflections in the comments. How has this story impacted your faith? And remember, in this moment, take action. Share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to experience God's love and truth. Together, we can transform lives through the faithfulness of Him who calls us. Don't wait even one more second. Join our community today.